Hey everybody, welcome back! We're here with my top 75 board games of all time, of the games that I already played and at this moment in time, but because these things can change quite fast. There are many games I haven't played yet, so that are not on this list, that didn't have a chance to be on this list because I don't know how they play, but there are a lot of games out there that I hope to play someday in the future, which I think they might be good enough to be high on this list as well. And high on this list is where we are already. We're at the top 30. So in this episode we are going to see, my number 30 to 21. Well, wow, first year I did this, I did the top 21. So, I played so many games since then. Alright, so let's get started with number 30. And number 30 is... It is a very social game. Some people don't call it a game, but I believe it's still a game because you're trying to win, you're trying to get points in this game. But it is a kind of a social experiment to see how good you know people or how good you think that other people know you. And you do that through some beautiful cards. And I'm talking about Dixit, which is this game here. And Dixit is a game by, this one is by Grizzled, the publisher. There are, I think, different, depending on where you live, which publisher it is. It is designed by Jean-Louis Roubir or something like that. It plays for 3 to 6 people. Now there is an expansion, Dixit Odyssey, which I also have, and then you can play up to 12, I believe. I don't like it with 12 that much. It's a little bit too much. This plays well from 4, I believe, to maybe 8. I like those numbers a little bit. It is number 146 on Board Game Geek, so it is well loved out there as well. Last year it was my number 25, so it dropped a few spaces, but that isn't that important. Anyway, in Dixit, the idea is pretty simple. You have these wonderful, beautiful cards in this game, and each time there is a storyteller, and they are going to say a word, a sentence, maybe make a noise, sing a song, whatever. They can do whatever, and that's the clue about their card that they are going to play. They place it face down, of course. All other players are going to look at their hand of cards and pick one of those cards that they think, can be used for that clue that has been given as well. All cards are shuffled and placed on the board so that they are numbered, and then people are trying to guess which one the card is that the clue giver, the storyteller, was holding, what his card is. Now, what's the thing about this game? So the storyteller, the one that gave the clue, he wants to have at least one person guess his card correctly, but he doesn't want them all to guess correctly because that way this clue was too obvious. Now, if not all of them and at least one of them guessed his card, he scores more points, and other players are trying to figure out whose card is his and are trying to play cards that other players are going to guess that is the right card, and for each guess on their card they score points as well. Difficult to explain like this. This is the hardest thing about this game, is the way the points work, but this game is really fun. The cards are very beautiful, and this has been a success with everyone I played it with, and that's why it's my number 30, Dixit. And talking about beautiful games, wow, we have some beautiful ones here in a row because a lot of them are very beautiful. And this time it starts with a cover which has a beautiful artwork. It doesn't even say the name of the game. You have to look at the side of the box. And this is a game by Bombix Games, designed by the wonderful Bruna Catala together with Charles Chevalier. It is number 301 on Board Game Geek, and apparently it was new on the list. So it wasn't on this list before, which surprised me. It plays up to 2 to 4 players, and I'm talking about Abyss. And as you can see, here is the title. And as you can see, this artwork is wonderful, and it is in the whole game. You have cards of these underwater fish lords, of their allies, with seahorses and crabs and stuff like that. And the game is pretty simple, but it's not that the artwork is everything about this game, because it is a fun game. So, what you do in your turn is very simple. You can choose out of 3 actions. You can either try to get some allies. You can either pick untaken allies from before that have been stacking during the game, or you can try to get a lord on your side. And it's very simple, and there's a cool mechanic. So the first thing that you can do is get those allies, and you're going to draw 1, and each player can buy them for 1 pearl, because this game comes with these cool pearls as a way to pay for things as well. And if they take it, they pay that pearl to you, and then you reveal a new card in its place, and then other players, except for the one that bought the card already, can pay that one if they want for 2 pearls. And well, if none of them takes it, then you can choose either to take it or reveal the next card. And so you take about 6 cards, I think, of a maximum. If you don't take it, you have to take the last one. They can be sea monsters that you can choose to fight or to ignore. If you ignore them, they become more powerful. The reward for them becomes more powerful for you, maybe later, or for other players in a later turn. And then you're trying to get those allies, and it's a kind of set collection that you're going to pay those lords with to get them at your side. Some of them have keys on them, that if you have 3 keys in front of your tableau of these lords, then you get to draw a location, which gives you more points, and the artwork on those locations is awesome as well. This is a cool game. Not only the artwork is wonderful, the game is very cool as well. And I really like this one. That is why this is my number 29, Abyss. And as I said, we are here in the part with wonderful, beautiful games, because the next one is awesomely pretty as well. And I'm talking about a game that plays from 2 to 6 players. I advise to play this with 5 or 6, because then it is a little bit more hectic and more fun, in my opinion. And I'm talking about the game by Asmodee or Games Workshop. GameWorks, not Games Workshop. It's a game called Jamaica. Now, I'm sorry for the rubber band here. It's because some of these pieces might drop and I don't like that. I normally don't do this, but this is one of the games I do that with. And by the way, it's also getting really dark. It is cold out there. There's snow in the air, and sometimes clouds get dark, and this room as well. So I'm sorry about the quality sometimes of the lighting. Anyway, this is designed by Malcolm Braff, Bruno Catala. Hey, haven't we seen him a very short while ago? Yeah, we did. And Sébastien Pouchon. It is number 370 on Board Game Geek. It was my number 26 last year. Drop 2 spaces. Again, that's nothing. 2 spaces is nothing. And in this game, you are racing around this island of Jamaica, or whatever the island is, with your pirate ship. Very straightforward. Each turn you have 3 cards that you can choose from, and they have 2 actions, a morning action and an evening action. And the first player, the starting player, rolls 2 dice, and he decides which number is used for the morning action and which die is used for the evening action. Players will choose which card they play from their 3 face down, and then each player is going to reveal them one by one and do the actions. The actions can be that you move forwards or even backwards with your ship. If you end on a space where's a harbor, you have to pay money for it. If you cannot pay, you have to pay what you can, and you go back to the previous safe space, which is free, and which is most of the times a cave where you can find treasures, if there's still a treasure there. If you can pay it, great, you stay there and you do your other action. And what else can the actions be? Well, you can get food, because you at sea, if you're in between harbors and you end on a space, you have to pay food for your crew. If you don't have enough food, you go back again, of course. You can get cannons, because if you end your turn on a space with another pirate, you have to fight, rolling this fight die. But you can bet cannons. You can say, I'm spending 3 cannons, and then your roll will have +3. And that way you have this cool fight against each other. Or you can get gold, which are worth points at the end of the game. And next to that, you can also score points, maybe for artifacts that you find, treasures that you have found, or also for how far you managed to get during the race. The game ends as soon as someone crossed the finish line. They score 15 points for finishing first, and the other ones will score points depending on how far they are, or might even get minus points. I have seen many people have minus points at the end of the game. This game is wonderful, beautiful, really fun. It might take a little bit longer, but you don't have to take it seriously. And if you don't take it too seriously, the game goes really fast and really fun. That's Jamaica, my number 28. Next on the list is not a new game from this year, but it's new on the list. It might have been in the top 75 last year, but I did only a top 50, so it's new on the list. It is a game again by Renegade Game Studio, so that's game number 3 on the list of that publisher, which are doing wonderful things. And this game is designed by Kane Klenko. I think that's the same designer as Covert. We saw him once as well, so he's doing well as well. This game is number 632 on Board Game Geek. That's not bad, but could be better. It plays from 1 to 5 players, and it's a dice rolling game called Fuse. In this real-time dice rolling game, you are rolling dice to defuse bombs which are lying in front of each player. You have to get certain number or certain color dice on that board. You are rolling and you have to divide the dice. That's a cool thing. So you roll a number of dice, and then each player has to take one of them. So you have to say, well, I need that one, maybe, but you need that one as well. Or maybe you take this one. All right, I take that one. It's a cool discussion while the clock is ticking, because you only have 10 minutes to defuse a bunch of bombs. And that makes this game very exciting. Not easy to win all the time. No, I won it a few times already, but I lost it more than I won it. Each time I play this game, players want to play this again, because the first game you will lose, and then they hope to win the next one because now they know how it works and they want to try it again, and maybe they will win. Great game, very exciting, very cool game. Cannot say it more. It's an easy game. I explained it. That's how the game works. You roll dice, you divide them together. Each player has to take one, and then you place them on your board. If you cannot place them, you have to re-roll that die, and if you roll a number, then each player, if they can, have to remove one of those numbered dice from their bombs, so they are set back again, or remove one die of that color that has been rolled. And that's also a strategic thing that you have to keep an eye on, because you don't want that to happen. Pretty cool game. Well, very cool game. Number 27 on my list, so I really like it. Fuse. My number 26 is the game that was number 14 last year, so it dropped a little bit, just because I haven't played it that much, because you have to have the right amount of people, I feel like, for playing this, because you can play this easily with 2 players. It works perfectly, honestly, but I believe this works perfectly with 4 or 5. And this game is a game by Portal Games, although it has been republished in a new edition with a different name and different rules a little bit as well. Now, it is designed originally by Alexander Nevsky and Oleg Sidorenka, and it is Tajemnicze Domostwo, also known as Mysterium. So I looked up which was higher on the list on Board Game Geek. I think they are both together, so it is number 290. So people like it as well. And this game, you can play up to 7 people, 2 to 7 players. I think 7 is too much, but hey. And then you have 2 ghosts, but let me explain that first. So in this game, actually this game is a mix between Dixit, that we already saw in this list, in this episode, and Clue, yeah, the game of Clue. So in this game, one player is the ghost. Something bad happened in this mansion here, and the ghost was, well, he was sentenced to death, but he wasn't the guilty one. So now he has these psychics in this mansion who are trying to find out what really happened. So the ghost during the night is giving clues through these Dixit-like cards, so with these beautiful, strange cards. And so he's going to give each player a card or more than one card as a clue for what they are trying to find. Because as in Clue, you have a murder weapon, you have a murderer, and you have a location. Now, each player is going to have his own combination of 3 of these. So 1 weapon, 1 location, and 1 possible assassin. I'm blanking out on my English words now. And so they each have their own parts, so they are going to give clues to each player. And each player is going to guess what it is. Now, the cool thing about the ghost is he cannot say anything. He cannot even do mimicry. He has to stay really neutral, give cards, and that's it. He can hear what other players are thinking, and that's where the game gets cool. So players are discussing what they have seen, what they think the right cards are, how they interpreted the clues, which can be so wrong or so right. It might depend. He played a card with much blue, maybe this card because it has much blue as well. But there's a tiny spider on the card, so maybe here it is a spider that has poisoned the victim. It can be so many things. Really cool game. With the right people, I believe, but I like it a little bit more than Dixit because this one has a theme. It's a little more of a game than I think Dixit is, but the difference is pretty small. This is my number 26, Tajemnicze Domostwo, also known as Mysterium. My number 25 is the last pure solo game on this list. We already had Friday, which is right over here. So this is the next one, the better one for me. And this is a game by Z-Man Games, designed by Shady Torbay, a game in the Omniverse or Oniverse series. On Board Game Geek, only 843. I think that's lower than Friday, so people think Friday is better, but I really like Onirim. So this is a 1 or 2 player game. Now I never played this 2 player because actually this is really a solo game. It was my number 23 last year, now 25, again, no big deal. There are some new games up there, so some had to drop a few spaces. And in this game, it is a really strange one with strange artwork, and you are in this dream world and you're trying to escape. And you're doing that by trying to find these different colored doors. But you have to open them by playing 3 cards of the same color. And that way you can open a door. Now, in the deck are also these nightmares. And if you draw these ones, well, then bad things happen. And you might be set back, or you might lose cards from your hand. And the deck is the timer. So if you lose cards, you have to draw more of them. And the timer goes a lot faster. And well, if the deck runs out and you're not escaped the bad dreams, well, then you lose the game. I'm sorry about the noise, my cat just was doing crazy stuff. But this, anyway, is a cool game. I really love this. I did a playthrough of this, by the way, so you can watch this if you want. It was still with my loose hand camera stuff, so if you want to see that, you can go and see that. Although also I did an interactive playthrough of Tajemnicze Domostwo. I also did a solo playthrough of Fuse, by the way. So go check them all out. This one is a very fine 1-player game, and that's Onirim. Number 24 is a cooperative game, which was not on this list last year, and that surprises me, but I've been playing this more this year and been appreciating this more, well, a lot more, because it's number 24 now. And this game is by Simon Games, Simon, or Cool Mini or not, they were called at the time. This is designed by Fabien Riffaut and Juan Rodriguez. On Board Game Geek, it's number 281. Which is okay. You can play this for 2 to 5 players, but there's an expansion that adds a little bit more to the 2-player version, and they add also a solo variant to it as well. And I'm talking about the Grizzled. Now, in the Grizzled, people are the Grizzled, and there are these World War I soldiers who are trying to survive the war. And it's a dark theme, and it also with the artwork by Tinyu, one of the people, the artist who died at the Charlie Hebdo attack, did the drawings, and this is very thematic. It is a heavier game theme-wise, and you are trying to get over these bad things that are happening. So these are these hardships that are there. You are going on a mission and you have to play cards from your hand. So each player in his turn tries to play a card, but you cannot have 3 of the same suits. There are kind of suits in the game. These are images of a bullet, a gas mask, of winter, rain, whistle, and something else, night. So you have to come over this. You are the hardships. You can become frightened. You can become a mute, which is the worst card of the game, honestly. And that way you're trying to get through this trial deck. But after each mission, if you still have hands in your card left, you have to add cards to that trial deck. So you have more cards to go through. And the other deck where you draw these cards from, if that ever runs out of cards, you lose as well. So really hard game to win. I think I won it once or twice. And I played it quite a few times. Really difficult to win, but the team is awesome and you feel like you're working together to get the job done to survive this war. Very cool thematic game. I love it. And that's why it is my number 24, the Grizzled. Number 23 is a new game by Ignacy Cevicek, a new game from Portal Games, of course, and that is the number 5 game of 2016 for me. And I'm talking about the game that is number 436 on Board Game Geek. It plays 1 to 4 players, and I did a solo playthrough of this on the channel, so go check it out if you want. I'm talking about 51st State, the Master Set. Now, 51st State used to be a game, well, it is still a game, that had some good ideas. I have never played it because it's hard to learn that game. It has some strange things. The components weren't that great. The rulebook wasn't that great. And then after that, he took some ideas of that game, Ignacy, and he made Imperial Settlers. People seemed to like that game a lot. And then he reimagined 51st State using some good ideas from Imperial Settlers. And well, this gave birth to 51st State Master Set. In this post-apocalyptic game, you are playing cards in your tableau and you are trying to make connections with locations. You're not building locations, and that's very important to know. If you're playing this game and you want to feel more thematic, don't say that you're building locations, but say that you're making connections to these locations, and that way they can give you resources, points, because this game you want to have points, can make you trade stuff and stuff like that. So that's what you're trying to do, and this game is really a resource management game as well, because you need to find resources that you can exchange for other resources, for connection tokens that you can use to make trades, make connections to buildings, make deals and stuff like that, or maybe to attack the other players. Now in this game you don't have a set number of rounds that you play. In this game the game ends as soon as someone reaches 25 or more points. Then you complete the round and then you tally up points. This game is faster than Imperial Settlers. This game is a little bit more aggressive because you really sometimes you need to stop the engine of your opponent. And you have to remember, if you first time you play it, and if you know Imperial Settlers, you play this game wrong and you will not win because you are too gentle to each other. But you have to raise each other a little bit, and that's a cool thing. You always have to adapt. So because there's bigger chances that your places get raised, or that you are building over another one of your locations. And that way you score points, by the way, if you do that. But you lose locations, so you're trying to all the time you're trying to reconstruct your engine or improve it or whatever. And that's the cool thing about this game. It plays a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressive. The theme is cool, the artwork is wonderful, and it's my number 23, and that's 51st State Master Set. My number 22 is number 4, best game of 2016. Fireworks and stuff like that. This is a game designed by the wonderful Stefan Feld. Yes, he's back. And it is published by Cranio Creations or Pegasus Spiele, depending on the language, I guess. Now I've got the German and English version here. It's 9.46 on Board Game Geek, so that's okay, since it got released at Essen. And Oracle of Delphi is a game for 2 to 4 players, and the special thing about this, it is a Feld game, but it is no point salad game. Even more, this game doesn't have points in it. It's a kind of a racing game. You are trying to be the first to do 12 works for the gods to impress them and to bid on their favor. And this is like a kind of pick up and delivery system in there. So you're going to different places with your ships and you're picking up statues or offerings, and you're bringing them to other places. You're going to fight some of these crazy monsters, and that way you are going to do those 12 missions. The way that works is with some dice, which he probably had the idea still burning from his Castles of Burgundy game. So each round you have these dice that you roll, and they have different colors, and you put them on this circle and on the right color. Now you can use different dice, different colors, to do different actions or to go to certain spaces because they have to match colors. And you have lightning bolts, favors of the gods, that you can use to medicate the dice. You can put it one space ahead on the track to change them to that color. And that way the game keeps balanced and you'll never have a really bad roll. Very cool game. Probably one of the biggest surprises for me of SN. I bought this because it's a Stefan Feld game. Didn't know anything about it. I bought it, played it, and I'm really liking this. I really like the game. Now I only played it with 2 players, so I'm still hoping to play a 4-player game soon to see how it works with 4. But 2-player game works perfectly. That's why it's already my number 22 on this list, Oracle of Delphi. One more before we can enter our top 20 of all time, and this time we have a kind of a party game, although it only goes up to 6 players, so it's a small party, and I cry if I want to. And this game is called Celestia, designed by Aram Weisblum, and this is published by Blam. Well, this version is, I'm not sure. Apparently this is a re-implementation of a game that already exists, Cloud9. It is on Board Game Geek, it's 655, it was my number 43 last year, so it managed to go higher on the list, 22 spaces. Wow, nice done. Celestia, he did great. Now in this game you are trying to outbluff your opponents. You are all players who are in this cool spaceship here, and let me show you here. So you have this cool 3D spaceship and you have these different locations. Now you start at the first location each round, and the captain, which changes each die roll, is going to roll a certain number of dice depending on the location. And they can have different results. Most of the times they are hazards that you have to overcome. Now you do that with cards that you're holding in your hand. Now the captain, he knows what he is holding, but the other players don't know what the captain is holding. So other players have to decide one by one if they shall stay on the ship and hopefully go to the next location in which there are more points to be gotten, or they go out of the ship and they take a card from that location which are less points than the next one, but points anyway. If they are correct, if the captain can play the cards, he has to, with some rules, different rules. He doesn't have to do that always, but if he does, then you go to the next location, roll some die again. The captain changes, goes to the next player, rolls dice, and it goes around until everybody got out of the ship or the ship crashed. If the ship crashes while you're in it, you get nothing and you go back to 0. And this is a race for a certain amount of points. If some player reaches 50 points, I think, then the game will end, and well, the player with most points at that moment is the winner of this cool game. You have some cards that also can screw over your opponents or help your opponents so that you can also survive in the ship, and that's a cool way to use this to play as well. But the coolest thing about this is pushing your luck. This is one of the best push your luck games out there, with a little bit of bluffing. The captain might know that he's going down, but if he's going down, he wants to take all his passengers with him because he doesn't want to be going down alone while the other ones already gotten off the ship. Very cool game, Celestia, my number 21. And that ends this part of the list. We're already going to the top 20 next time, which is pretty awesome. Now, these games are awesome. So you can only imagine how good these other games are, and we'll be there soon with that list. I hope you like this part. Feel free to give thumbs up to this video. Feel free to subscribe. Somewhere there's a button with subscribe around this video. And well, feel free to comment below if you have played any of these 10 games that I just mentioned. Let me know what you think of that game. If you agree or disagree, let me know. Each comment is welcome unless you're going to troll. But so far, everything has been very wonderful here. Thanks for watching this part. I hope to see you soon, next part, and I'll see you all there in the future. Bye bye.